So my name is Simon Zubusk. I am with Hearst, Kapuskasing, Smooth Rock Falls Counselling Services, and we have started our project in October of 2018. If I could have the next slide, please. Our team consists of myself. I'm director of the mental health programs, um, with the involvement of two clinical supervisors and three frontline staff. Next slide, please. So, what got us started on our project is that we don't have a specific intake worker or an intake program. So this task is shared on a rotation between our mental health counselors. So they each have their assigned days where they're assigned to incoming referrals and walk-ins. Due to a high volume caseload and referrals challenge the response time between when a client is referred to our services and when the client will begin his therapy. Next slide, please. So for our problem statement, and you'll see we have a blank on our where we have data, unfortunately, and this will be listed in our challenges, is that our the EMR we were using when we started the project did not give us this data. It's something that we'll have to go count manually with our referrals, and we'll have to go client by client to be able to count the number of days between the referral date and when the client has started receiving services. However, for a problem statement, we've said that since April 1st, 2017, wait time to access services in the counseling program at HKS Counseling Services has been blank so far, which has a negative impact on client experience and outcomes and continuity of care. Staff are also feeling overwhelmed with the number of referrals and not being able to offer the services that the client needs. And we might add here in due time, what happens is that when the counselor receives the referral, they have that in a nice red folder, and over time, their mailbox gets stuffed with these red folders when they're having trouble reaching the client and to complete the assessment and direct them to the right program. So our aim statement is that by March 31st, 2020, we'll reduce avoidable wait days to access service in the counseling program. Next slide, please. So this is a look at our fishbone that we started off with. So we've had listed out things from the staff perspective, from the client's perspective, and also in terms of the whole process, the whole intake process. So in terms of the staff, they feel pressure, preoccupation of the reputation of the agency as mental health experts. We have limited human resources. Staff prefer face-to-face intakes, and just to give you context, we sometimes encourage them to when a client calls in for referral, to do a nice part of the intake assessment by telephone while we know they're available. But it's not just the staff that prefer face-to-face intakes, it's also the clients sometimes. So what that means is that they need to make appointments, and sometimes those appointments aren't, sometimes the client don't show up for their appointments. Staff are keeping clients on their caseload for too long, which results in the caseloads being too high as well. Counselors juggling many tasks. We're a small agency, so we sometimes have counselors working in different programs. Staff burnout, staff unable to reach clients, to make appointments or to reschedule appointments, pressure to meet ministry's expectations. In terms of the client not receiving the right services at the right time, Unclear client expectations. Sometimes they don't understand what our mandate is. Client dropout, high volume of referrals. In terms of the process, the intake process, client need to go through a long intake process before being referred or start counseling. Inconsistent process from one staff to the other. Triage not done at the right time. Referral sources not understanding referral process. Unequal caseloads. Repeat many information from one tool to the other. Sometimes, for example, between the CDS that we used to have to complete and the OCAN, sometimes that's the same information. That information is also duplicated other places. The gain assess that we need to use is not used at the right time. Next slide, please. So this is a look at our Pareto chart. So our vital few being that triage is not done appropriately, caseloads are too high, not understanding the referral process, and that was as much as internally as externally. Limited human resources, and staff prefer face-to-face intakes. And again, as you can see, as another team has mentioned, we don't have a high response for these, but nonetheless, these are the vital few that came out. Next slide, please. So here's a look at one of our 5 whys. For triage is not done appropriately. Why is this happening? Lack of information when new referrals come in, so we must complete the whole intake process before determining if the referral is appropriate or triage to which program. We only gather demographic information from new referrals when they come in, if we aren't able to see the client face-to-face right away. Why is that happening? Receptionists are the ones receiving the referrals at the front desk and cannot ask personal questions at the reception area. Reception is our point of entrance, and receptionists are not qualified to deal with a distressed client. Receptionists are the one receiving referrals because we do not have an intake program. Next slide, please. So these are the root causes that came out of our different 5 why right, from our 5 whys. Number 1, receptionists are the ones receiving referrals because we do not have a specific intake worker. We have been operating without a screening tool for a long time without evaluating the need for one. And maybe just clarify here, we do have a screening tool in the gain assess, but we just find it's something that we have to use because of our LINs indicated have chosen that tool for our district, but we don't feel as if it answers all our needs. Promotion hasn't been identified as a priority, especially in terms of external referrals from hospitals, from family physicians. So we felt that probably we need to promote our mandate and our referral process so that everyone knows what to expect when they're coming in through our door. The intake procedure as a whole has not been adapted to the changes over the years. Next slide, please. Next slide, please.
I can't hear you, Simon.
Okay. I didn't do.
See the slide?
Okay, I see it now. Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can. Yep.
Okay, I didn't change anything on my side, so but I did have a little box that opened on my screen saying that we're having audio problems. But let's move on. So again, we've only started in October, and after the Christmas break, we did have some challenges in meeting. We're approaching the end of our fiscal year, and many people have accumulated holidays that they need to take for the fiscal year, and so with everyone taking vacations here and there, and myself having other engagements that I couldn't move in January and February, it's been pretty challenging to meet. I'm just noticing now that I don't have my process map on the slide deck. I might have sent the wrong document, but I can maybe just reference it a little. So we did do the process mapping of our whole intake process, and we broke it down into the different ways that the referrals come in, whether it being by call, fax, walk-in, and the different sources of referrals that we might receive. And from that, we've concluded that if a client walks in and we have a worker on hand that's available to greet him right away and do the intake process, we found that we don't have a problem in terms of wait time to have the counseling therapy initiated. It's considerably reduced. Where we saw where we do have problems is when we're receiving referrals by telephone, and if a counselor is not available to take the call, then the receptionist takes the demographic information and hands the information over to the counselor that has to call the client. Sometimes we have some phone tag going on. Sometimes we have to send out letters for an appointment. Our courier here in Kapuskasing isn't sorted out in Kapuskasing. So whenever we send a letter out, it goes out to Timmins and sometimes to Toronto to be sorted out and then sent back over here to be delivered. So just there, we do have some delays in just getting that letter out to a client to remind him of an appointment. Sometimes we have appointments that are just not attended by the client, and then we have some juggling in trying to reschedule an appointment. All that said and done, what happens is that we do have a significant delay sometimes with some clients at the point of referral into having the intake completed and then having that person sitting in his first counseling session. Another factor that we've thought about in the last few years is that many people in our region now work in mines in all kinds of places around the province and even out of the province. That means they're working one week in and 1 week out of Kapuskasing, which means that if we can't have that person in our office before they're sent back to work, we have to wait till they come back. So those are all referrals that are just sitting in our mailboxes that are just waiting to be completed. So that's where we're at right now. So in terms of our lessons learned, the intake process as a whole is due for revision. We feel this will be refreshing for the staff completing the intakes, and it's nice to have a fresh perspective from, we have a young staff right now that have been with us for just a few years, so they do have a fresh outlook. So that's very nice to have. And they're very engaged and very interested in the project. What are the factors enabling your project progress and pace? The ideas for change will come from staff, which means better chances of engagement. Next slide, if there is one. Yes, what would you do differently next time? Have more consistent meetings with available members. again, this is in in reference to what I was saying about having a lot of people taking time off in the past month. It's been very challenging to have 6 meetings, and but we're still very much engaged, and we do have booked meetings in the upcoming weeks, and we're looking forward to enter the changes part of this project.